A famous chef is teaching kids about the Earth's bounty. I'm Sarah Gardner. Come with us to visit a schoolyard garden and kitchen project in Berkeley started by Alice Waters.
How does a school go from a dropout factory to a success story? I'm Christina Salerno. We'll show you how schools in the city of Stockton have taken dramatic steps to reduce dropout rates and keep students engaged through their senior year.
The end of the school year usually means a break from classrooms, books, and tests. But what if summer vacation offered the chance for some different kinds of lessons? I'm Jim Finnerty. You could call it schooling under the stars. It's all coming up on Inside California Education.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.
Thanks for joining us on Inside California Education. Everyone agrees that a healthy, nutritious meal is essential for students to thrive in school. But what if that same meal was not only provided to students, but made by them, with ingredients grown, harvested, and prepared in their own garden and kitchen? That's the concept behind the Edible Schoolyard Project, launched by a world-famous Berkeley restaurateur.
I have trowels for you, and I have compost with buckets.
This is not a class field trip to a distant farm. It's a typical school day at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School in Berkeley.
So do you want to be the one to peel off some of the outer leaves? And then you're gonna give the top a haircut just like Max has done there?
Today, these students are harvesting leeks on a 1-acre plot sitting right on campus. A campus smack in the middle of a densely populated urban area within sight of the Golden Gate Bridge.
The garden has always been like my favorite part of the day. It's just a little break from being inside all day, and you get to come outside and eat and play in the garden.
And that's just going to make the plant more snug and able to grow more vigorously.
Edible Schoolyard Berkeley began in the late 1990s when restaurateur Alice Waters convinced school officials to tear out an asphalt parking lot. Ever since, its focus has been on ensuring that these students do more than just get their hands dirty or learn the basics of farming.
I'm so touched by their passion and their interest in this. It works like magic.
Today, Waters beams each time she visits the classroom, garden, and kitchen she created. The Edible Schoolyard Project has become as important to her as Shape and Ease. The world-famous Berkeley restaurant Waters opened in 1971, launching a new type of dining known as California cuisine, focused on fresh organic ingredients sourced from nearby farms.
I'm thrilled when I come into the kitchen and I see everyone going about work. I just think that not only do the students learn the information because it's coming through all of their senses, but they're being nourished at the same time.
Food is an academic subject, and you can study anything, math, science, humanities, geography, history, culture, through the act of growing, cooking, harvesting food. Another key philosophy for us is that children learn by doing, that you are an embodied learner if you're actually experiencing the topic that you're learning.
Today what we're going to be looking at is the Arabian Peninsula and some of the foods that were grown and produced there and how they come together into a meal that we're going to eat today.
The concept is simple. For 90 minutes each week, these 6th to 8th graders take fresh, organic food products, many of which they grew themselves, and learn their history, where they originated, and how ethnic cuisine spread worldwide. Then they make their own healthy lunches using those same ingredients.
So today we are going to make some pita bread, we're going to make some hummus, a yogurt sauce, and we're going to cut up some vegetables to dip into those sauces.
In the kitchen, it's really fun because you get to cook new things. I've cooked stuff that I've never thought I'd cook and tried things that I never thought I'd like.
I think the reason that this idea is so successful is that these are universal values, and we're hungering to get back to that place. We need to come back to our senses.
Just as Chez Panisse transformed modern dining, Waters says the goal of the Edible Schoolyard is to transform the way the students think about food, nutrition, sustainability, and how they all connect to a fair and healthy world.
Public education is our last truly democratic institution. What if we began in kindergarten and we taught them the values that they're going to need to live on the planet together? How to take care of the land, how to come around a table and talk with one another. And so that's what this program is deeply about.
A lot of students come back and say, you know, remember that time I wasn't into gardening, but now I understand that it was more than just gardening. It was more about being outside with friends, doing teamwork, accomplishing work. Going through the program here, I just became a better person in general.
I just love the garden so much that I definitely want to find a way to incorporate that in my life because it's so important to me.
Mr. Jeff, yeah, big one.
I think that schools have a responsibility to teach kids how to be, how to collaborate, how to think critically. And programs like these where kids are incredibly engaged in their learning and in their experience and how they just show up as a human.
Advocates say that philosophy and the success of programs like this is why there are now more than 2,000 edible education programs in all 50 states and 29 other countries across the globe. Through an Edible Schoolyard website, educators share lesson plans and other resources and ensure that all materials meet state and national curriculum standards. Back here in Berkeley, parents and other family members are invited to sample their children's culinary creations at special family nights out. And 8th graders receive academic credit to act as garden ambassadors, mentoring younger students.
I really enjoy it because sometimes the kids are like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I tell them some interesting facts and then they're like, okay, I understand why to do this now.
It's the thing that everyone looks forward to for a week before it happens. And everyone's like, yes, we're going to the garden, we're going to the kitchen. And then everyone comes here and they have a great time for the hour and a half that they're here. And I think it's some of the most fun experiences I've had in middle school.
Yeah, I kind of want to be a chef. I kind of want to just be a chef and do healthy food and maybe get a cooking show.
We're going to be cooking up a storm. We have a feast happening today.
Beyond the widespread success of the program, Waters and her team of teachers, volunteers, and others say they have an even larger goal: to create a truly national edible education program from kindergarten through high school. They also want to make sure every California student has access to a healthy, sustainable, and free lunch, while connecting with and learning from local farmers.
It could be school-supported agriculture in that way, and give the farmers the respect and dignity and have them bring their values into the schools. And I think that we have the knowledge and the willpower and the sort of fertility in the state of California to make it happen.
Kids can consume up to 50% of their daily calories at school. To ensure they are eating healthy, schools are implementing tried and true marketing strategies, such as placing fruits and vegetables in 2 locations, like the hot lunch line and at the salad bar. Other tactics include giving the food fun labels and offering it in bite-sized pieces.
Let's take you to the Central California city of Stockton, which has made headlines in the past for its record high dropout rates. Fast forward a few years, and you'll find schools where students are engaged, and the graduation rate stays north of 85%. We visited these schools to find out how they accomplished this turnaround. Stockton is a city in recovery, recovering from a recession that decimated entire neighborhoods, recovering from bankruptcy, and when it comes to the city's schools, recovering from a reputation as dropout factories.
This would never happen again. Things were happening in the city that were affecting the family's ability to even stay stable in the community. All of that affects the students' ability to be in school. Parents lost jobs, families now were living in multi-family units. Students were working at night, maybe not able to invest as much as they could in their educations, or had now family responsibilities as parents went to seek work, families losing their housing. So all those different things that were happening in that climate most recently in California did affect what was happening in our school.
During the recent recession, Stockton schools were labeled dropout factories by a Johns Hopkins University study. It found that fewer than half of the city's high school freshmen were making it to their senior year. But Cesar Chavez High School principal William Nelson says the findings were nothing new.
I'm a product of Stockton. I moved here from Los Angeles when I was in high school, graduated locally from Edison High School. When I graduated in 1989, graduation rate was 50% to 55%. I remember my teacher saying, oh, we have this big graduating class because it was over 300 kids, but there was literally 700-800 who came into the school.
To fight back against its sky-high dropout rate, Stockton enlisted the help of the entire community. Social workers and school employees joined with police officers to go to the homes of dropouts, asking them why they left school.
Exactly, you're a smart kid.
The school district also began tracking its students for the first time.
We were actually letting kids transfer out of school, not worried about where they went, not worried about where they fell. So some of these kids were moving around in the city that we just weren't keeping track of. The second step was we actually had to look at our grades. We actually look at what kids were passing and what they were not passing and why.
National research shows that one of the top reasons students drop out of high school is because they are failing too many classes. Other top reasons include being bored, becoming a caregiver, and needing to make money to support their family. In 2012, a directive to combat those challenges in Stockton came from then Superintendent Steve Lauder.
We had a superintendent at the time who came in and actually help the high schools really start to focus a little bit more.
It was a superintendent priority under Dr. Lauder. He brought it in to really change the culture of the school and district. A lot of research to suggest that when kids are connected to school more and they participate in school, they achieve more.
You see at least there's one or two people that sits by themselves and stays quiet all day.
Stockton Unified adopted a program called PLUS to connect with youth at risk of dropping out. PLUS stands for Peer Leaders Uniting Students, and it's in place in some 200 schools throughout California.
If you ever feel as if, school is hard or you're alone, you're excluded, you're being bullied, it's like the perfect program for solving those problems. We set a positive climate around our school, and when we do forums like we're doing currently, we do activities, and each activity has a meaning to it. And the meanings are something that, students will take on with them throughout their entire life and take it on through school.
Mommy, did you? Don't be afraid to voice your opinion.
It's powerful. It's just powerful that we're doing this peer-to-peer. It's just like, it's not an adult talking to me. It's somebody that I know and trust. It's somebody that I can go out to a football game with and have fun with.
The principal at Edison High School says the PLUS program has been especially effective at reducing cyberbullying.
They see a lot of it quicker than we do because they're on Facebook and Instagram maybe more than I am. So they bring it to us. It's a lot of student-led conversation saying, hey, I found this kid's being bullied, so we can proactively deal with it. 3 years ago, that wasn't happening.
I actually remember in the 8th grade when I was in the PLUS program, there would be like people sitting alone because they had just came, not a lot of people are talking to them and they're really quiet, they're not really that social. So I would go over there and talk to them, make conversation, introduce them to my friends so that they're not alone throughout the school year.
that kid is going to have a social transition in place where they will have a continuous identity literally for the next 4 to 8 years that they're part of Stockton. And so when they're experiencing activities that are increasing the attendance rates, they're going to come to school more. And when they're at school more and they're in a safe environment, that's increasing our academics. And so with that, we're increasing the graduation rate.
And our motto is basically service above self.
That's how I see it.
Over at Cesar Chavez High School in Stockton, another strategy is in place to keep students in school until they graduate. High schoolers here choose from 5 career pathways to connect their academics to real-world jobs. There are classes like this one in communications technology, as well as health, law, engineering, and performing arts.
I was actually thinking about becoming a chef originally, but then because of communication technology, I now have an interest in everything about computers, pretty much.
The pathway idea supports the high school graduation piece because it helps kind of motivate the kid. And we're not going to be happy till every kid graduates, but our graduation rate stays traditionally between 85 and 90%. And then from there, our next step really is college and career preparation.
I feel like students just want somebody who cares. They want somebody to motivate them to do better.
When our kids come to campus, this is probably the safest place for them in South Stockton. So when they have those adults that care about them, truly care about them, that trying to get them out of South Stockton, out of that cycle, that's what they need.
What I see in our high schools are kids that are engaged in learning, kids that are engaged in positive peer relationships on the school campus, teachers that care. I walk into classrooms and see high levels of student engagement with students and teachers, lessons that are geared toward high interest of students. I see the peer-to-peer interactions that are positive, and I see kids that are motivated to do well in school and to do well in life.
One of the most effective practices of the PLUS program is when high schoolers act as mentors to elementary school students. It allows teenagers to discover what it's like to lead, while the youngsters gain an older peer to look up to for guidance. This method is often used to solve problems like bullying on campus.
Still ahead on Inside California Education, we'll take you to a unique summer camp run by a Northern California school district. It's an outdoor education complete with insects. But first, we ask an expert as part of our Education 101 series, are dropout rates in California accurate?
For many years, what we said was our dropout rate was actually not true. It was overstating how good we were. First, we had kids that were coming from places like Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, where the girls were being kept home from the time they were 14 on. So they'd graduate from 8th grade and then they'd disappear, and they were not being shown as dropouts. Then we had kids that reported that they were transferring, and those were not actually being checked to see if they actually showed up somewhere. At one point, we didn't have a student information system at all. And so even though we had 6 million children for a long time, we didn't have a good accounting system in terms of their attendance and in terms of their dropping out. When I first proposed a student information system, as a legislator, I was, rejected. And then I sponsored the bill as a superintendent of public instruction. It's a number that follows the student. And it is unique to each child, but it hopefully is helping us to do a better job of keeping track of our kids and making sure that they're getting a full-on education. And so to the extent that we can actually help these kids to stay in school and to complete their education, it's a win-win-win. It's a win for the child, it's a win for the community, and it's a win for the state of California.
For those of us who went to summer camp as kids, we still cherish those memories of campfires and sleeping under the stars. Well, thousands of kids are making those same memories at a summer camp in Northern California that's been run by a school district for half a century. The goal? To create well-rounded citizens who value the outdoors.
It's coming out as da 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 da, and it's da 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 da. So da 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 da.
Camp Winters is a campground owned by the San Juan Unified School District, and camps are run as soon as the snow melts. There are camps going on, various camps, basketball camp, cheer camp, computer camp, then there's outdoor education programs, and music camp this is the 52nd year of music camp. The kids come here, they bring their instruments, they're packed for a week, so we rehearse all week.
So I play the alto saxophone, which is really fun to play. It's definitely different. It's a lot more accelerated than at school, but it's still very fun, especially out here in nature. There's a whole bunch of background noises, people walking around, birds, insects. You don't get that in a classroom.
So use your brains, think about it. Is this a good idea?
My name's Tisha Rugg, and I'm a 6th grade teacher during the school year, and up here at camp I'm in charge of campers, counselors, medication, food, all of those kind of things. And kids are inherently interested in bugs and flowers and fungus and all of the cool things out in nature. I have to say, when I first got in the classroom, I was surprised that they weren't as equally interested in math and spelling.
So go easy on the rocks and the sticks and the bunks.
Kids come out here, sometimes they've never been away into the mountains, they've never swum in a lake, they've never spent the night outside. We get a lot of kids who've never camped outside before. And that's a big deal, especially our little 8 and 9-year-olds come out and they've never done that kind of thing.
So we're just gonna make sure that they're fitting you right.
During the non-music camp weeks, we try to do things that kids might not get to experience in Sacramento.
We have a rock here at camp called Split Rock, and it's a massive rock, and you can actually go and climb up it, and then it's split in the middle, and so you can jump over and you earn a bead.
2, big jump. 3, big jump. All right.
And I think that's a good thing that we get to do, because then it expands your imagination, to do things and to try new things.
I hit that blue spot in the middle.
We do offer things like archery and boating, and they do get to do campfires and songs. It's kind of like, if you go back to the 1950s, a summer camp, that's kind of what we want to do, unplug them from all of the electronics and technology and get them to experience what it's like to be outside and connect with people much more.
There's not too many school districts that have a summer camp. It's pretty rare. Camp Winters was started by Jim Winters. He was a huge visionary. He found 80 acres up here, and somebody said, I'd sell you 80 acres up here if you use it for kids, and I'll give it to you for $4,000 on lakefront property. So Jim Winters went back to the school board, went to the superintendent, said, hey, we can start a real program, get all these kids out of Sacramento, get them up here in the mountains. And that was the start of it. So that was in 1957.
I think the district benefits from having a camp like this because it helps kids become more well-rounded. And so at the end of the day, when they graduate from high school, if they've gotten to come to camp as part of their 12 years of experience or 13 or 14 years that they've been in the district, it just adds another piece. It gives them another piece of history to tuck in their pocket that they can refer back to.
I started up here in the 60s as a camper, and later on in high school in the 70s, I became a tent counselor, and I've been up here every summer since then.
Bill's my husband. We met up here. Got married up here. We had 3 kids up here. I'm particularly attached to this camp, partially because I've been here so long, but I also just think that there's something magic about the particular location, and the lake and the mountain are, they're just kind of majestic, and kids take that away.
And as the week goes on, you actually learn more skills that you haven't learned yet, and I think that's a good trait about this camp, because it helps you learn and practice during the summer. And then on Friday night, your parents can come up, and we have a big concert at the auditorium.
The concert starts at 7, and the sun is still out and it's sort of warm out. And as the concert goes on, the sun starts to set and the stars come out. And it's just really neat to see the change of the evening and the final band playing under lights, and you got the sunset in the background on the west side. It's really pretty and really neat. Parents really like that kind of part of it.
That's going to do it for this edition of Inside California Education. If you'd like more information about the program, just log on to our website, insidecaled.org. We have video from all of our shows, and you can connect with us on social media as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Inside California Education.
And then you're gonna give the top a haircut just like Max has done there.
Select the food. That's great.
And our motto is basically service above self.
That's how I see it.
This would never happen again.
Yeah!
Big jump.
3.
Big jump.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.